Tonight, Trump targeted again. The former president survives a second assassination attempt while playing golf. A Carindale grandmother attacked in her own home, allegedly by teens accused of a wild crime spree spanning almost 2,000 kilometres. A mother's plea for babies to have the RSV vaccine, how it's had remarkable results. On like Donkey Kong, the bizarre Brisbane court battle sparked by a record score. A new warning on medications purchased online. And Aussie Elizabeth Debicki honours the memory of Diana as she walks away with an Emmy.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Max Futcher.
Good evening. Donald Trump has survived a second assassination attempt, but this time the gunman was stopped before he could take a shot. The lone sniper was hiding in bushes at Trump's Florida golf course when the Secret Service spotted his weapon and opened fire.
His golf course, tonight a crime scene. The former president whisked home under guard to his nearby Mar-a-Lago estate as the man intent on taking his life, Ryan Wesley Routh, stares down an FBI interrogation.
This is about good versus evil.
Online posts paint a picture of a man in his 50s and highly critical of Donald Trump, a list of prior run-ins with the law. Lately, he was committed to enlisting foreign fighters in Ukraine.
My initial goal was to come fight.
And the FBI says fighting was his goal today.
The U.S. Secret Service personnel opened fire on a gunman located near the property line.
That line, the Trump International Golf Course. The Republican nominee was between holes 5 and 6 when the advanced Secret Service details spotted the threat some 300 metres from the former president and opened fire.
He was able to spot this rifle barrel sticking out of the fence and immediately engage that individual.
Trump was bundled into a golf cart and carried away to the clubhouse where he was locked down. The gunman's high-powered weapons seen here with backpacks and a camera.
I think one has like a rifle.
As he made a run for it.
Fortunately, we were able to locate a witness that came to us and said, hey, I saw the guy running out of the bushes, and they spotted the vehicle and pulled it over.
Confirming his safety, Donald Trump pictured smiling, a thumbs up with Speaker Mike Jenson before declaring, "Nothing will slow me down. I will never surrender." He's now survived 2 attempts on his life in just 2 months.
What is clear is that President Trump is safe. That is a good thing.
I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me.
Vice President Harris wishing her rival well, reiterating violence has no place in America. Now, Max, the Vice President's message of calm has echoed across the United States and indeed across the world. But one person who is not heeding that message this evening is US billionaire Elon Musk. Quite bizarrely, he has responded to today's assassination attempt of the former president with this online post. And no one is even trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala. Now, that has been widely interpreted as insightful language, goading, it would appear, the aggrieved in a country, of course, awash with high-powered weapons. Now, US President Joe Biden, he has again recommitted every available resource to the US Secret Service to help that agency really protect both of these candidates now in the final weeks of this election campaign as Donald Trump now prepares to return to the campaign trail in the coming hours, Max.
David Woodward in the United States. 3 Victorian teens have been arrested on the Gold Coast with 10 sets of car keys following a wild crime spree spanning almost 2,000 kilometres. They're accused of kicking and holding a butcher's knife to a Carindale grandmother before stealing her BMW.
Bearing bruises, but the mental scars will forever haunt this 65-year-old grandmother, robbed of her BMW, allegedly by 3 Victorian teens armed with a butcher's knife.
He showed me knife, yeah. And I don't want to give him a car, but they showed me knife.
Carjacked in her own driveway, Darshi was just taking her grandson to school.
We are scared. We people are scared. This is not good.
The next night, her black BMW seen here in convoy with a white Range Rover. The trio's also accused of stealing from a Gold Coast home.
It's so scary, knowing our kids were here.
Police say the teens had travelled 1,800 kilometres from Melbourne, sleeping in another stolen car. On Friday, they stole the BMW from Carindale. The next night, the Range Rover in Merrimack. Hours later, they were arrested in the Nerang McDonald's car park. One girl, two boys, aged 14 and 15.
It's concerning that you've got kids at that age driving, 1,500 to 2,000 kilometres from Melbourne in stolen cars. They were located with 10 sets of keys.
The teens are all known to Victorian police and have lengthy rap sheets. It's understood their parents are now making the journey up to Queensland, and there is some relief for the family of the 14-year-old girl. She was listed as a missing child.
It stopped potentially what was going to be a further crime spree.
Jordan Quinn, 7 News.
A 31-year-old man has been shot in the leg in bushland behind an industrial estate in Acacia Ridge. 7 News understands he told paramedics he was picking up rabbit traps last night when he suffered a serious gunshot wound. It's believed a firearm was found nearby. Investigators will speak to him in hospital tomorrow to figure out how he was shot and by whom. Stephen Miles says he still believes Labor can win the election despite consistent bad polls for the government. He's accused the opposition leader of taking votes for granted as both leaders spruik their major platforms.
Waiting around.
787, next arrival on platform number 2.
At Bowen Hill Station.
Who's going to work for the Premier?
A welcoming party of 2 on platform 3 for the man from Mango Hill.
Good morning.
Happy about his commute.
That cost me just 50 cents.
And his 20% reduction on car registration fees taking effect.
If you've recently paid your rego, don't worry, it will come off your next bill.
In Cairns, David Crisafulli is pitching for classrooms to help tackle crime.
I'm not talking about the kids who are being sent to detention. This is not that. These are kids on youth justice orders.
Announcing 2 youth justice schools. One would be based in Cairns, the other in the southeast, catering for 50 children per campus at a cost of $40 million. But philanthropic funds would also be needed, with the not-for-profit organisation Ohana for Youth selected to supervise the students.
They'll be engaged in subject matter that they care about, and they'll be tired out.
But the Premier has hit back, saying there are already education programs in place.
They're taking this election for granted, and I think that's a pretty dangerous thing to do. Of course I think we can win, and I'm fighting every single day to win.
The opposition leader says he'll have plenty of announcements for regional voters.
There's 40 days to go. I'll probably be back here.
Insisting he's not taking anything for granted.
Well, Stephen Miles is returning to the regions tomorrow. The opposition leader is still in the state's far north. He's holding a community meeting in Mossman about the local sugar mill. The government's already thrown millions of dollars at the mill, but the LNP is pledging a $12 million rescue package to get the mill back up and running. Now, with all of the polls in his favour, David Crisafulli will not want to put a foot wrong over the next 6 weeks, Max.
Marlene Awap at State Parliament tonight. A teenage worker's leg has been crushed when a tyre rim fell onto him at a truck bay in a mine southwest of Mackay. Paramedics treated the contractor at Moorvale in Coppabella this morning before the rescue chopper flew him to hospital with significant injuries to his limb. Inspectors with the independent watchdog are travelling to the site and ordered it be shut down. A 22-year-old woman has been killed after her car exploded into flames in a head-on crash on the Bruce Highway north of Proserpine. Police say a dual-cab ute crossed onto the wrong side of the road at Myrtle Vale, slamming into the woman's BMW. The 61-year-old driver of the ute is in hospital with serious injuries. The drama's only escalating for troubled former TV star Andrew O'Keefe, who's had a run-in with paparazzi and been arrested by police. The clash came after news broke of an apparent drug overdose on the weekend.
What started as routine reporting to Rose Bay Police to meet his bail conditions soon turned nasty.
How are you? He's not a good idea. Big weekend, mate? As the other fella.
The former TV host and the freelance cameraman giving as good as they got.
You're degenerate, mate. You're a
Degenerate, that's what you are. You're a degenerate, man. Huh? Huh? Keep it nice, we'll keep it nice. If you want to be a bunny.
Especially when an ugly reference to O'Keefe's domestic violence charges was thrown at him.
Make a living out of
You want to spit at someone?
Leeching off other people.
Go and abuse some women, mate.
It followed news O'Keefe had to be revived by paramedics in the early hours of Saturday morning after an apparent drug overdose. He was taken to St Vincent's Hospital and later discharged, and was certainly showing no signs of that today.
Good on you, mate. Get to it, mate. You're very busy there.
Then, when O'Keefe returned to the police station, he says, to make a formal complaint about the cameraman, he was arrested, accused of breaching his bail. Amy Clements, 7 News.
Thousands of people have turned out for the start of Queensland's historic truth-telling inquiry. The 3-year endeavour aims to complete the picture of the state's past, but the LNP has reaffirmed its commitment to scrap it.
Marking history with tradition. Torres Strait Islander dancers open the state's first truth-telling and healing inquiry.
I thought, well, people were actually documented as being extinct or on the verge of extinction.
A tribe considered Brisbane's original inhabitants, stories and experiences of Queensland's first people to be etched into the record books on the path to treaty.
We just haven't had the opportunity to engage fully with our history, and this is for us really historic in the fact that it might be the only occasion we get to bring that history to the surface.
Tasked with unmasking the lasting impact of colonisation, like the underpayment of Indigenous workers up until 1986, Hans Pearson, one of them.
My 10 years was for nothing.
But as time passes, so too do witnesses.
There is a real importance in actually capturing that lived experience.
Hearings start Wednesday and will run over 3 years, but if elected, the LNP promises to scrap the inquiry and treaty process altogether, despite passing the laws last year.
My focus is on real outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
So you still intend to repeal the treaty?
Yes.
Any moves to the next stage would require bipartisan support.
Interest in this inquiry has been so great, organisers were scrambling to find a larger conference room able to fit the thousands here wanting to take part. Generations of advocacy hanging in the balance.
It would have a significant impact on the community to not let this process occur.
And Jacqueline Robson joins us in the studio now. Jackie, the opposition leader backflipped after the voice referendum.
Max, David Crisafulli withdrew his support due to the state's thumping no vote to a voice to Parliament. Back then, he said the path to treaty would create division, and today claimed it won't provide real outcomes for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. But what he's sacrificing is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to understand entrenched disadvantage rooted in our state's dark past. Insights that can help form policy and enrich school curriculum. Even the Indigenous figures opposing the voice were certain a treaty was the way forward. Max, the opposition leader, wouldn't say when an LNP government would repeal the laws.
Thanks, Jackie. The ABC is in damage control tonight, launching an investigation into its own journalism and deleting an online video that depicted Australian soldiers firing on unarmed Afghan civilians. Channel 7's Spotlight revealed the clip's audio was doctored with extra gunshots added.
After 4 tours fighting the Taliban,
personally I killed 7.
Retired Commando Heston Russell's now fighting the ABC.
Watching, this taxpayer-funded organisation going to the lengths of altering footage, adding gunshots.
The national broadcaster forced to remove this online video. A clip Russell says was doctored to look like he was shooting at unarmed civilians.
Literally made shit up.
In the original helmet cam footage, Russell says it was one of his team who fired a warning shot at an insurgent. As the man runs into a compound and picks up what looks like a weapon, Russell, on the right, gives the order to open fire. But in the ABC clip, the single warning shot becomes 6.
It completely misrepresents what those soldiers were going through that day.
The ABC says an error has been identified and it's seeking more information on how this occurred.
We've trashed our Afghanistan veterans' reputation.
The story published in the middle of a defamation trial. Russell successfully suing the ABC for depicting him as a war criminal. A senior ABC insider describes the doctored clip as a 5-star stuff-up, and they say there's a lot of finger-pointing going on within the organisation today, with hard questions being asked about who's to blame coming from the very top.
If the ABC want to try and say this is an error, we have more evidence of what they've been up to.
Rob Scott, 7 News.
At least 7 people have been confirmed dead and several others are missing as Storm Boris continues to lash Central and Eastern Europe. Dams burst in Poland, swamping streets, forcing thousands to evacuate their homes. The flooding has triggered a state of emergency in the Slovakian capital, Bratislava, while Austria's capital, Vienna, has been declared a disaster zone. Aussie star Elizabeth Debicki has been crowned Best Supporting Actress at today's Emmy Awards for her role as Princess Diana, a part she called a privilege and a gift. The King of Cool made a comeback at the ceremony as Hollywood celebrated legends of the past.
Father and son hosts reigning over TV royalty.
We've all done salacious tell-alls with the BBC to get back at a lying, cheating ex, like Elizabeth Debicki in The Crown.
But the Aussie had the last laugh, taking home her first ever Emmy for her portrayal of Princess Diana in The Crown.
Playing this part based on this unparalleled, incredible human being has been my great privilege. It has been a gift. Thank you so very much.
But the night belonged to
Shogun.
The Japanese period piece cleaned up, setting a new record, 18 Emmys for one season.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you so much. Baby Reindeer, the popular and controversial runaway hit with 6 gongs for the night.
Follow your heart and the rest will fall into place.
The Bear, an Emmys beast, 11 awards.
Thank you so much. My heart is just beating right out of its chest.
The Emmys is all about celebrating the big hits of today, but tonight's show features a bit of nostalgia with a look back on some fan favourites. Ron Howard and Henry Winkler reuniting to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Happy Days and a quarter-century anniversary for political drama The West Wing.
Unlike today, where storylines can be plucked right off the news, storylines that writers would have deemed a bit far-fetched, if not utterly ridiculous 25 years ago.
Like a girl from Melbourne, the daughter of ballet dancers, bringing a princess back to life. In Hollywood, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Now for a look at the weather, and Michelle Spring took a break this morning.
It was much more like winter. Roma and Stanthorpe dipped down to 1 degree and 0.5 made Applethorpe in the Granite Belt the coldest spot. And with the wind chill, those temperatures felt below freezing. It was a nervous watch for frost at View Wine in Ballandine. At the Granite Belt Christmas Farm, they were serving up hot chocolates. And in Brisbane City, workers packed extra layers. The airport had its coldest morning in a month. So did Redcliffe. Crisp and dry southerly winds are to blame. The strongest gusts were at Double Island Point and Cape Morton with 87 kilometres per hour. I'll be back soon with details on how long this weather will last.
Thanks, Michelle. Keeping babies out of hospital. Queensland's free RSV vaccine saving lives. A mother's plea next. Glamorous bikies. An outlaw gang slammed over this promotional video. A cricket legend honoured with an Order of Australia medal. And new holidays from the Gold Coast. The mega deals on offer.
In 7 News, finding cheap medications online
people are struggling to afford their medicines.
Is what you're buying safe?
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Plus, from cut-price chemists to supermarkets, we compare the cost of everyday health items. A 7 News consumer report coming up.
Work began today to repair the Walter Taylor Bridge. The heritage-listed link in Indooroopilly is currently closed to all traffic as council carries out maintenance on the 88-year-old structure. Drivers need to take detours via the Centenary Highway, Oxley Road and Fairfield Road. It's expected to open again by September 30. It's been hailed as one of the most significant developments in health in 3 decades. A free program to vaccinate babies against RSV has seen cases in Queensland dramatically reduce. And tonight, one mum is reminding parents why it's important to be protected.
3 years old, Owen Damon is full of energy.
Can you get it to go up?
But 2 years ago, he was hospitalised for a week after contracting RSV.
He was breathing so noisily, like it woke me up.
One of the leading causes of hospitalisations in infants. In April, the vaccine was rolled out for free in Queensland. Now, more than half of newborns are immunised.
One of the most important medical developments that I have seen during my career.
Recent Queensland health data shows of 364 children under 6 months hospitalised with the virus, only 8 had been immunised. The Australian Medical Association says it's crucial the vaccine remains free for eligible children.
It's really important that vaccines are made as accessible as possible, and that means making them free.
Right now, infants born on or after February 2024 are eligible for a free vaccine, as are Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander babies and those with certain complex medical conditions up to 8 months old.
If I had the option, to try and prevent what we went through with Owen, or at least lessen the effects, I suppose, then for me, there would be no hesitation.
To keep children like Owen
You're a goose.
out of hospital. Rachel Baxter, 7 News.
Glenn McGrath received his Order of Australia medal today. The cricket legend was given the honour for his contribution to the sport and his work with the breast cancer charity set up in memory of his late wife.
It's a great honour without a doubt, mainly because of the foundation and very proud to be able to give back, and incredible people around me. So, I feel very fortunate.
The ceremony was held at Government House this afternoon. It's on like Donkey Kong, a global gamer locked in a Brisbane courtroom showdown. Details are next. A warning about TikTok fitness videos. The quick-thinking jurors nabbing a crook who tried to flee a courthouse. And are discount chemists actually cheaper? We compare the prices. It's been dubbed the Donkey Kong lawsuit, a defamation trial between a US arcade champion and a Brisbane YouTuber. The case is poised to send shockwaves around the gaming world, with some travelling 14 hours to witness it.
In the golden age of arcades, Billy Mitchell was the master who conquered Kong.
World Record Headquarters can help you.
Barreling his way to multiple Donkey Kong world records, the first to claim a perfect game in Pac-Man.
When you want your name written into history, you have to pay the price.
But now the Florida native has a new score to settle in a Brisbane courtroom, arguing local YouTuber Carl Jobst defamed him in a 2021 video which alleged Mitchell's lawsuit against a US critic led to his suicide.
These claims and that story are demonstrably false.
Mr. Jobst is relying on a truth defence, while the US gaming icon is seeking reputational damages of close to $500,000. This the tipping point in a 4-year feud between the pair, including accusations Billy Mitchell cheated his way to Donkey Kong high scores. For a time, Guinness World Records agreed, scrubbing his achievements before reinstating them after legal action. There is such a huge interest in this unique case. Fans and gaming commentators packed one entire courtroom. Some have travelled 14 hours from the US to be here for the 6-day trial. A multiplayer defamation battle, with both fighting to avoid an expensive game over. Garth Burley, 7 News.
Michael Jackson's brother Tito has died of a suspected heart attack. Tito was a guitarist, singer and a dancer in his own right, best known as one of the founding members of the Jackson 5. He was 70 years old. The next stage of Labor's plan to build 1.2 million homes in 5 years has hit a roadblock in the Senate tonight. The coalition rejecting 2 pieces of legislation, leaving Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to negotiate with the Greens.
A paddock, soon to be a suburb, with 17 low-cost and public houses, the first of 14,000 from the government's Housing Australia Future Fund.
Yep, the Australian dream, I think they call it.
As the government's 2 other proposed housing schemes become a political nightmare, stuck in the Senate.
We are building, the coalition and the Greens have been blocking.
The first, the Help to Buy scheme, the government providing up to 40% of the equity so 40,000 low to medium income families can own a home.
This is a scheme where the government comes in as the bank of mum and dad.
The second scheme, Build to Rent, offering tax incentives for developers to put new properties on the rental market. The Coalition opposes both.
Australians don't want to co-own a home with the government. They don't want Anthony Albanese sitting at the kitchen table.
It's time for all parties to put aside entrenched political positions.
Little evidence of that, though, as the Greens now have the casting votes and accuse the government of refusing to negotiate over their demands to slash negative gearing and other tax breaks for investors.
It's clear that the Prime Minister doesn't like the Greens, but it's time to act like an adult.
The key is the no election getting out of the way.
I'm sorry, Mr Prime Minister, but that's not actually how democracy works.
Demanding he become a consensus builder. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The crew of SpaceX Polaris Dawn has returned safely to Earth at the end of their groundbreaking mission. There were cheers as the Dragon capsule splashed down off the coast of Florida after spending 5 days in orbit. They made history last week, completing the world's first commercial spacewalk. Security cameras have captured wild scenes at a US courthouse. A criminal making a run for it, handcuffs and all. He'd just been convicted of assaulting a child and tried to escape custody, but he didn't get far. The man made his way through the corridors and out the front door. But seconds later, he tripped and fell and was pinned to the ground by 2 jurors. Bikie life gets the Hollywood treatment. A notorious outlaw gang slammed over this promotional video. Details ahead. A Qantas plane tears up the tarmac during takeoff. Is the royal rift ending? Promising signs on Prince Harry's birthday. And new holidays on offer, the huge flight deals for Queenslanders. Hasty repairs are underway after a plane tore up parts of the main runway at Perth Airport. The Qantas flight was about to take off to Singapore yesterday afternoon when parts of the tarmac were sent flying. Maintenance crews got to work repairing the damage, which caused one other flight to be diverted. One of Australia's most notorious outlaw bikie gangs has offered a rare inside look at its national run. The Comancheros shared a heavily produced 5-minute video on YouTube of the gang's annual ride to Canberra.
I just sort of saw a group of people who maybe need to get a different hobby, take an interest in football or cricket. Cricket's coming up, or something else other than outlaw motorcycle gangs.
Police say it's a clever piece of marketing to recruit members, but the reality of signing up doesn't compare. The ACT hasn't yet banned illegal motorcycle groups from gathering or wearing their colours. A popular TikTok trend's been slammed in a new Australian study for sprouting health and fitness advice that's not only wrong but potentially harmful. And experts warn older Australians can be just as vulnerable.
It's the TikTok fad influencing not just our minds, but our bodies as well.
This is going to make you guys drop weight in like the next 3 days. Literally, I could say almost guaranteed.
It's known as Fitspiration, but far from being inspirational, many of the videos can be downright dangerous.
95% of the people who were posting the videos didn't actually state that they had a relevant health, nutrition or fitness credential.
TikTok's paired with captions like, how I went from yuck to thick, or how to actually lose all your body fat, are just some examples experts warn are wreaking havoc on our mental and physical health.
Men and women who are exposed to Fitspiration content are likely to have increased disordered eating behaviours.
It was really harmful, like comparing myself and all the body checking type of videos.
It is really setting a bad example for how they should be looking at their own health.
Researchers from Flinders University say most of the videos depicting women involve sexualisation. Body shaming was promoted, as were eating disorders. Of the 200 TikTok videos studied, an alarming 60% had misleading information. Experts say what is accurate is the age-old advice. Don't believe everything you read or see online. Children under 14 could soon be banned from accessing the material, but experts warn those in the older age brackets can be just as vulnerable.
Check their bio, check for their qualifications.
Honey Howe, 7 News.
Some are hoping it's a sign tensions may be thawing in the royal family, with them publicly wishing Prince Harry a happy 40th birthday online. The Prince and Princess of Wales also extended their well wishes. It's the first time the family has acknowledged Harry's birthday on social media in 3 years.
Perhaps at best this might be another sort of olive branch, a digital olive branch from the King.
Harry celebrated the day with his wife and children at home in California. Discount chemists promise big savings, but are they as cheap as they claim to be? The results of our 7 News investigation, plus the new warning on buying medications online. That story's just ahead on 7 News. But it's sport time now, Webby. The Lions want to dish out their own medicine to the Cats.
That's the plan, Max. Hello, everyone. Advice from the Lions legend on shutting down their Coleman medalist. The Cowboys' unsung hero, who the captain believes holds their finals fortune. Plus, awesome Oscar, the power move powering Piastri to his second F1 win. Sworn enemies in what was their biggest game of the year. Now they're brothers in arms for the one that supersedes it. Cowboys co-captain Tom Dearden's nominated Blues Origin hooker Reece Robson as their unsung finals hero ahead of Friday's Sharks semi.
A 6-day turnaround and 2,000-kilometre away trip. The North Queensland spotlights quickly turned to Cronulla.
They've been in the top 4 all year this season, and they're such a consistent side, and we know that we're going to have to be at our best defensively to stop them, because they think they got a lot of attacking strike. Did really well, but I think Reece Robson through the middle, I think he's been awesome. He brings so much line speed and he locks up our middle, and I thought he's had a really great game on the weekend.
The way we're playing our game at the moment is just sticking with it and playing the long game and keeping the ball in play. And I think the longer the...
Helps, so could inside intel. Robson played Origin with Sharks number 7, Nico Hines.
Sort of playing alongside him and knowing how he likes to play and things he looks for in the game might give me a little bit of opportunity, but he's probably got the same against us with me.
Saturday, his game one fullback, James Tedesco, notches the 250 milestone against Manly, but it's Jared Waihira-Hargreaves' return from suspension the Roosters believe will help them notch another win.
We need that intimidation factor. He's physical. Teams think about him before they got to play him and things like that, and it's very, very important for us.
Ben Davis, 7 News.
Thank you, Ben. Well, the Cowboys are stampeding into Sydney, and Gilly, the Sharks can feel the ground rumbling.
Mate, I'm impressed with the Cowboys on the weekend, although it was a topsy-turvy type game against the Knights. Ruben,
yeah. The Sharks have lost 7 straight finals.
The Cowboys, they've got a great away record, especially down there in Sydney. They've won their last 4 games down there. So I don't think the Cowboys will be worried about travelling.
Well, let's look at the Sharks and their main man, Nico Hines. Doesn't seem to be able to put it together in the big games. Some players really respond to being dropped.
Yeah.
But other players, it tends to go the other way.
Yeah.
Which is Nico Hines.
Had a little bit to do with him in the Australian side, but I think he'll lose his confidence. Really deep thinker. Get his defence right, mate, and the rest of his game, he'll go okay.
Well, of course, Gilly, there is another final this weekend, but it's the 2 of the most hated teams in the competition, Roosters and Manly. I'm really not that concerned about it, to be honest.
Well, the Roosters, mate, they were poor against Penrith, and I think he made a blue by not starting Spencer Leniu against Penrith as well, his old club. So big Jared Waihira-Hargreaves is back this week, so he'll make a difference to that forward pack.
Well, Gilly, we saw some cracking games of football over the weekend, but one thing that has really stuck out in my mind is the performance from Kalen Ponga in a losing side, mind you.
Yeah, outstanding, wasn't he? He's got no injuries, so he's running free.
Big names, big forwards and big pay packets to match. The Lions and Cats spearheads are box office viewing leading into Saturday night's grand final playoff. Up one end, Joe Danaher, who kicked Brisbane into a prelim. Down the other, Jeremy Cameron, who's conquered September once before.
A week off to watch the Lions and Giants fight for the right to face them in a prelim. The Cats' build-up might be the most relaxed of all time.
I put in a veggie garden, so it's that time of year, spring, I love it.
Pushing up daisies and goals from the pocket.
He could not possibly! Who can do that?
Jeremy Cameron kicked the most spectacular September goal so far, but Joe Danaher kicked the most clutch, pulling off the great escape against the Giants.
It's just a Joe Danaher thing to do. Slot one from the boundary and 50 out. Wind howling.
When the pressure's on, when they need him, that's when he needs to deliver, and he's starting to do that.
Spearheads giving key defenders nightmares, a throwback to shootouts of the 90s when Lions fullback Richard Champion had to match up on the likes of Carey, Ablett and Lockett.
The pressure builds right throughout the week. Like, you would get a message from the coach. You'd be thinking about that all week, especially on the big players.
Chris Fagan kept the faith with Jack Payne, despite giant Jesse Hogan kicking 5 in the semis. Will he get the Cameron assignment?
I just reckon Harris has got better closing speed, and he's got a little bit more reach than Jack Payne has.
Star interceptor Tom Stewart will return from a hammy strain to spoil the Big Joe show. And a familiar voice will be back to host Seven's coverage. Bruce McAvaney on the mic for the first time since the 2020 Gabba Grand Final.
None of us know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. It's been that sort of season. Try tipping winners. I mean, it's been the most difficult thing of all time.
September just got a little more special. Brett Thomas, 7 News.
Days after being told he'll be playing second fiddle to Lando Norris at McLaren, Oscar Piastri delivered the best drive of his F1 career. The Aussie held off Charles Leclerc to win in Azerbaijan.
On the penultimate lap,
contact between Perez and Sainz into the wall. Disaster.
The crash triggered a virtual safety car, allowing Australia's F1 gun to complete a drive as flawless as a supermodel in cruise control.
Oscar Piastri wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Lovely job, Oscar. Yes. To hang on for so long, with very, very few mistakes, I think definitely one of my best drives.
The piece de resistance came on lap 20.
Down the inside, late on the brakes, makes the move stick.
From there, Piastri kept pole sitter Charles Leclerc at bay.
Piastri sees him coming, defends that line.
Leading home the Ferrari and George Russell's Mercedes for his second win of the season. Told by McLaren that teammate Lando Norris's title challenge was the priority, Piastri's race performance demanded a role reversal. Nick Markham, 7 News.
Remarkable effort, Max.
Thanks for that, Webby. Let's take a look at finance now. The ASX 200 has closed up 22 points. That's an all-time high. Shares in mining company Alcoa soared after news it's selling its Saudi Arabian joint venture. $1 Australian is currently buying 67.27 US cents. Well, if you've been thinking about a holiday, now's the time to land a bargain. The major airlines are offering hundreds of thousands of cheap flights into Queensland and deals to new destinations from the Gold Coast.
All aboard across the ditch. Jetstar today launching 2 new routes from the Gold Coast to Hamilton and Dunedin.
From Coolangatta you can get fares from $150 basically across the ditch.
Making Gold Coast Airport the most connected to our Kiwi cousins.
We know that the Kiwi market is worth over $800 million to the Gold Coast, welcoming over 211,000 visitors.
There'll be 3 flights per week for both destinations from June, bringing 68,000 extra international tourists over 3 years who'll spend $100 million in Queensland.
There's more to come, so watch this space.
Virgin has the Sunshine State in its sights too, launching its own sale with Tourism Queensland.
Today we are announcing more than 500,000 fares will go on sale for as low as $45.
Including Sydney Gold Coast, Sydney to the Sunshine Coast from $59 and Brisbane to Cairns from $75, while Qatar Airways is offering flights from Brisbane to London from just over $1,800. All this to help the 3/4 of Aussies planning a holiday actually have one.
We are offering these sale fares to help convert that intention and dreaming of a holiday into a real booking.
Hopefully to Queensland. Amanda Rebate, 7 News.
Is it cheaper to buy medications online or in store? We compare prices, plus the warning to shoppers. Our special 7 News Consumer Report is coming up next.
And today's taste of winter isn't over just yet. Details next on when we will see warmer days.
At this time of year, visits to the pharmacy are more frequent as we stock up on cold and flu medication. But are the discount chemists cheaper than Coles or Woolworths? We compared everyday health items with online to see who offered the best deal.
From cut-price chemists to supermarket shelves, the options are endless for over-the-counter medication.
I usually head to Chemist Warehouse because there's usually a sale on what I need.
We did a price check at Chemist Warehouse and Priceline Pharmacy, major supermarkets Coles and Woolworths, as well as eBay. On our shopping list, vitamin C, a probiotic, Panadol and cold and flu.
People are struggling to afford their medicines. We regularly hear of people who are rationing medicines.
For 300 Synovus tablets, the price difference ranged from $18.50 at Woolworths down to $7.25 on special at Coles. eBay also under $10 and free postage. 40 probiotic tablets were $14 cheaper on eBay compared to the major supermarkets. Chemist Warehouse and Priceline only offered a pack of 60. For Panadol Rapid, prices were pretty consistent, only $1 difference between all 5. The cost of a 20-pack of cold and flu was slashed by Woolies and Coles. At the pharmacies, it cost more for more tablets. eBay, the dearest. When you search for Codral, the first results are pharmacy brands, which are much cheaper, $9 and free postage. But can you trust it?
Safety is really important when we talk about people buying their medicine. Just buy beware. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Any over-the-counter product that's regulated by the Therapeutic Goods Administration will have an identification number on the packaging. If it doesn't, the TGA says there are no guarantees about its safety.
You can go to the TGA's website and you can look up the things that you're thinking of buying and check that that brand and that that item, whatever it happens to be, is indeed a safe product for you to use.
A double check to save you a dose of trouble. Georgia Holland, 7 News.
Weather now, Michelle. It was a chilly morning.
Max, it was a late wintry blast, and while temperatures only dipped about 1 degree or 2 below average in the southeast, the wind chill made these figures feel much cooler. Brisbane's low of 13 degrees felt more like 10 degrees at 6 o'clock this morning. The Redlands dipped down to 10 degrees. It was 9 in Ipswich and Beerburrum, and Canungra was coldest on 7. The day didn't warm up too much either, with tops here in the mid-20s. A strong high is sending cold air from the southern ocean all the way up to Queensland, and it also has a hand in a wind surge that's reaching as far north as Webcke. The high starts to find new territory tomorrow, heading east to move offshore Wednesday, and that is when we can expect a change in the winds, taking the chill out of the air. Checking the capitals, and after a September record this morning on -6 in Canberra, the nation's capital stays below 0 to start tomorrow, a low of 3 degrees in Adelaide, and dry skies for most of the country. In North Queensland, onshore winds will push cloud onto the coastline, bringing a shower or two for Cairns and an overcast day in Weipa. Further south, farmers will be on watch for frost again on the Granite Belt. A freezing morning is forecast once again for Stanthorpe, and Roma heading for a low of 2 degrees. Also looking cool in Toowoomba and Gympie. In the southeast, another day in store of cool mornings, followed by figures in the low to mid-20s, and Ipswich looks like it'll take the title for the chilliest start of the day. In the suburbs, a brisk breeze will be felt Bayside and at Sandgate, with lows of 11 degrees, 9 to 25 for Springwood. Boaties, Moreton Bay starts the day with southeasterly winds at 10 to 15 knots, and tomorrow's high tide will be around the height of the highest tides of the year. In the city, 12 to 24 degrees on the forecast, with a mostly sunny day. Then on Wednesday afternoon, a change in the wind direction is expected, and that should take the chill out of the air and allow temperatures to climb from Thursday. In Ipswich, the city will hit the 30s on Thursday and stay there for the weekend, even while those cool mornings continue. On the Gold Coast, some better beach days are ahead for the school holidays once that wind change kicks in. And on the Sunshine Coast, it's much the same, mostly sunny days and warm conditions as we head for the weekend. But Max, a couple of cooler days to get through first.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Now, before we go, here's a look at a special report we have for you tomorrow night.
The biggest transformation to aged care in Australia's history is here. 5 must-see stories over 5 nights, from the senior Australians living in luxury for less to revolutionary at-home care on a budget. We reveal how to set yourself and your loved ones up for A+ aged care. 7 News at 6.
And that's all from us this Monday. Thanks for your company. The latest from 7 News starts just after 11 o'clock tonight. But for now, from all the team, have a good night.